Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
Apurva.
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 Yes.
Okay. Apurva, you come from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
Your optional subject is history,
Yes, sir.
and you have graduated with history
Yes, sir. From history honors from Miranda House.
from Miranda House, University of Delhi. That's an excellent institution. And your hobbies include solving Sudoku, watching Korean dramas,
Yes, sir.
swimming for leisure and fitness.
Yes, sir.
So let me start with one of your hobbies. Why do you like Korean dramas and not Japanese or German dramas?
So I got into Korean dramas with a group of friends around 2011 or 12, back when Gangnam Style was the most popular song. And before that, we used to watch Japanese anime. So that is how we all transitioned into Korean dramas. We do watch Japanese dramas also, but German dramas I haven't heard about.
Okay.
Turkish dramas, a few of my friends are telling me to watch, so I am watching.
So what is it about Korean dramas that interests you so much?
So Korean dramas are very relatable for the Indian youth these days. From 2000 to 2010, we saw in the Indian television industry a dominance of Indian female middle class household centric dramas. But Korean dramas involve issues around day to day problems of youth, their identity, and how they're navigating themselves in the world. And they cut across various professions. For example, there are legal dramas like Extraordinary Attorney Woo, and that drama covered issues of disability and how people suffering from autism or other personality disorders, they are also trying to find a space in the working environment. And but there are discrimination. People do not want to work with them despite of their skill and caliber. So.
Okay, Apurva, are you also interested in theatre?
So I have got to witness theatre in my college, but I haven't participated or personally seen any of the theatre.
Okay, are you aware about this fact that the Indian youth is losing its interest in theatre? If you go to any theatre, just any random theatre, and you check at the age group of the audience, you'll find that people below 25 are mostly missing, though there can be some notable exceptions. What is the reason for this?
Certainly, sir, there are some reasons why Indian youth are finding a little less interest in Indian theatre. So one of the reasons could be the commercialization that has taken place since, in Indian case, we can say 1991. From then on, commercial content, films, and Bollywood and regional Tollywood, they have taken over content-wise. Secondly, sir, I think there are certain funding issues with Indian theatre. It requires a lot of stage, makeup, costume, which independent theatre artists, sir, I find that they find it hard to keep sustaining themselves. And sir, I think the content also of Indian theatre is yet to catch up with what the youth likes. They are still focused more on social issues or issues that are attracting people in 30s or 40s. For example, my parents, they would prefer going to watch a theater, and I would prefer watching a Korean drama or a Turkish drama. So.
Okay. Are you aware about this new fascination called fixation to OTTs?
Yes, sir.
Now, are you aware about this term called binge watching?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you support this?
Sir, if I may be allowed to say, I am also a victim of binge watching, because certain content, if we place, if certain content is based on the idea that they want to make you watch the next episode, certain people are not able to handle it well, so they wait for the entire season or the entire episodes to finish, and then they watch it in one go. Personally, sir, I have also engaged in binge watching. I did finish 16 hours of drama in 2 or 3 days.
So is that a thing that a civil servant should develop as a habit?
No, sir, it is not a thing to be developed because it is, firstly, it has resulted in so much of hours of screen time. And it is bad for our eyes, it is bad for our mental health because we are completely engrossed for hours in that content. If it's a thriller, let's say, so we are subjected to that gore and violence for that much amount of time. It is, it can be taken in exceptional circumstances, but sir, I think it is not good for the youth.
Apurva, it is generally believed that women are good problem solvers and better negotiators. Do you believe with this concept? Generally speaking, though there can be exceptions.
Sir, I would slightly disagree with this statement because if women are said to be good negotiators and managers, it is partly because of the societal conditioning of women. A child born would not be a good manager or uh, good at the things that have been mentioned before, just without the social conditioning that has been given to women. So women, right from the young age, they have been taught to take care of their parents, and if somebody is fighting, so you go and act as the mediator, negotiator. And from early on, we have seen our mothers in the kitchen, and our mothers also encourage us to learn some cooking skills and manage things well. And certainly, so in India's case, there are cultural notions also. For example, our goddess, Hindu goddess Lakshmi, she's known as the perfect administrator, manager, and that is why she brings wealth to the household. And that is so.
Okay. Have you engaged yourself ever in a situation wherein you have dealt with multiple stakeholders?
Yes, sir. Certainly, I have engaged in such a situation. Sir, if I'm allowed to say,
Yes.
I was the vice president of the History Society of Miranda House. And in my tenure as the vice president, we had a role to negotiate various stakeholders, such as the college administration, the students across first, second, third years, the professors, and any academically esteemed individual who is to come, and then engaging in talks or solving students' issues. Sometimes there were conflicting issues between the second years and the third years, so solving that. So, sir, I think I have.
So while you were performing that role, did you ever face conflict of interest?
Certainly, sir. There were conflict of interests uh, with respect to what is right for the students and what the professor would want us. For example, we did have certain problems with a few faculty, if I am allowed to say. So students were complaining that particular faculty was not was coming to the class but not teaching, or maybe engaging in non-academic related discussions. So that was a problem, and we had to manage that with the students also, with other professors on board also, so that that problem could be solved.
Okay. How did you develop your interest in history? What is the motivation? Just answer in one line.
So in class 6th, I watched the movie The Mummy. So that was when The Mummy, I think it was released in 97 or 98, I believe. And that movie, they showed visuals from inside the mummy and how they were excavating, and a lot of riches came out. So that was my first liking for history, so, as a discipline.
Okay. It is often said that history is written by the conqueror. Do you agree to this statement?
The history certainly has been written by the conquerors, but also by the conquered. But it is the conquerors who have more resources at hand, and that is why they were able to pass down that information across generations. So, if I would be allowed to quote E.H. Carr in What is History, he says that the very fact we have certain information being passed down to us by our ancestors. They also consciously and subconsciously chose that information, and that is how it got to be passed down to us. So certainly there are histories of the conquered people also, but it is not that known, and that is why certain historiographical schools like the subaltern historians, they are coming up with histories of the downtrodden. If you may allow me to give an example, um, the example of this could be Ranajit Guha. He's the most prominent subaltern historian, and he has written this chapter, The Prose of Counterinsurgency. And this chapter, in my reading during the masters that I am doing currently, he mentions of the Santhal Pool, or the Santhal rebellion, and how the colonial records have described these people who are rebelling as they were like earthquake. They came all of a sudden and they burned this, burned that, and so much loss to the this X amount of loss. But in that, he is trying to see that how peasants had a voice of their own and how they were planning, meeting, discussing their grievances, and which is not recorded if one looks at the objective official records.
Okay, I got your point. Apurva, try to differentiate between these words: colonialism, colonization, coloniality.
So colonialism is the process through which certain powers of Europe, in the case of India, they decided to subjugate the territory through economic means and later by political subjugation. So colonization is the process of sir, it is more political or administrative subjugation of a territory. So coloniality, I am unaware of. Sorry, sir.
What is decolonization? And how is it different from decoloniality?
So decolonialization, I am aware of, sir. So it is the process of undoing the colonial subjugation through various nomenclatures, through various practices that were introduced during the colonial period. And that could be in the form of undoing of nomenclature, undoing of practices. So decoloniality, I'm unaware
Okay.
of. Sorry, sir.
By any means, did you follow the Republic Day celebrations this year?
Sir, I partially followed Republic.
Are you aware who was the chief guest?
Yes, sir.
Who was he?
So chief guest was the president of Egypt.
Can you name him?
Abdel Fattah el-Sisi was the president.
Why did India extend an invitation to Egypt?
So Egypt was invited as the chief guest of Republic Day celebrations because India and Egypt are recently celebrating their 75 years of diplomatic ties, firstly. So secondly, sir, Egypt occupies a very important geostrategic location. And sir, the Suez Canal present in Egypt is host of around 12% of world's trade. And so in the backdrop of Russia-Ukraine war, trade and control over resources and strategic autonomy is very important for India. So thirdly, India and Egypt do have a historical tie. They have been in the world's oldest civilizations, Harappan civilization in the case of India, and Egyptian civilization. Ashok, King Ashok also refers to Ptolemy II, the Egyptian ruler. Sir Gandhi ji was also very much involved in the decolonization movement in Egypt. And sir, post the independence of both the countries, both were part of the non-aligned movement under the leadership of Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in the case of India and Gamal Abdel Nasser in the case of Egypt.
Apurva, from whatever little interaction that we have had so far, I'm getting an impression as if you look at things only from a historical point of view. Would you like to defend yourself on this point?
Sir, I am a student of history, so definitely I feel that I would provide more insight into the historical aspect of things, because history tells us that things do not happen in a vacuum, that events do not occur in a day, and there are certain processes and events.
I got that point, dear.
Yes.
But my question is, don't you think a civil servant should have a comprehensive mindset?
Yes, sir, certainly.
But your
Certainly.
analysis is mostly on the lines of how historians analyze things.
Yes, sir. I do agree on that. But, sir, even I try to keep in mind that there are political reasons, economic, social, cultural reasons as well, sir.
Okay. Tell me something about Madhya Pradesh which people generally don't know.
So, Madhya Pradesh is the home to the oldest of prehistoric cultures in the Indian civilization, sir. If a point of history is to be mentioned, sir, and sorry, sir, I am unable to
Are you
think
referring
of
to the Bhimbetka?
Bhimbetka, Adamgarh. Yes, sir.
The Narmada Valley?
Yes, sir.
But generally people know about it, as do something which people generally don't know. Bhimbetka, by the way, is a UNESCO recognized World Heritage Site, is it?
Yes, sir. Bhimbetka is a
So
UNESCO.
people know about it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir, I am unaware.
Apurva, what do you like to eat?
Sir, I like to eat Chinese food, and I like to eat Indian food as well, pasta. And
If you like in Chinese food and you are inclined towards Korean movies, you will be an excellent candidate to implement the Act East policy of India.
certainly, sir, if I am given the
So in that case, Indian Foreign Services should be your first preference, but I see it to be the second.
sir, but in my understanding, what I have exercised is my preference, and but I would be glad if I am given the opportunity to serve in any part of the country, any part of the world, in any capacity, sir.
Okay. Why have you accorded the southern zone or zone 5 as last in your choice ladder?
So it has been accorded the last because, sir, I just try to exercise my preference, and in that I try to place those areas that I have not visited first. For example, I have placed Northeast before the South, and that is because, sir, my father is a retired army officer, and in his service tenure, I was able to visit parts of the southern parts of the country, but not the Northeast, sir. So, sir, that is why it happened
Well,
to be
in
the
that
last.
case, going by that logic, Northeast should be your first choice, whereas your first choice is Madhya Pradesh, where you have lived all your life.
So that there's a reason for that also. I am a single child of my parents, so I thought I should be closer to my parents, because my mother, she suffers from some health problems. So I decided to be in and around where they are staying currently, so that I'm able to take care of her.
Purva, highlight one quote that summarizes your personality, and I want you to frame that quote. And I have a request also, that the quote should not be from a historical lens.
Sorry, sir, I am unable to think of something at the moment.
Thank you, Apurva.
But, sir, if I am allowed to
Yes, go on.
place, in 2023, I have decided for two words to represent what I am, and that is being enthusiastic and being mindful. So that is what I would want my further life to be. I would not want to keep scrolling on the social media. I want to be present and enjoy life as it is, sir.
Thank you, Apurva.
Thank you, sir.
Apurva,
Yes, sir.
you want to be enthusiastic, you want to be mindful.
Yes.
Good. Tell me three values apart from this that you have that you think will make you a good civil servant.
I think I would like to place three values. Um, First is, sir, resilience and hard working. Sir, I tend to finish something wholeheartedly. Until it is done, I am in the process that it has to be finished. It has to be finished. So secondly, I would say that I am very grounded and adaptable, sir. Third value that I would say, because of my upbringing, sir, my father was posted across many places within years. So I quickly changing schools and quickly. So I feel that I'm quickly able to adapt.
Good. Have you ever been a member of NCC, NSS, or any such organization in school or college?
Sir, I was a member of NSS, sir, in the first year, but unfortunately, because of my academic pressures, I had to drop out. So that is why I couldn't get a certificate towards the end. But sir, I was involved in the process, and since I was residing in the Miranda House hostel, I was given the responsibility of reading all the texts that were prescribed to history students for a senior of mine who was visually challenged. So I used to take a recorder and read out the entire photocopy or the book that was there, and then I used to record it so that she can also read and listen it.
Do you think in any way the experiences gained during that 1 year in which you have never got your certificate, all right, but that 1 year could definitely help you in your performance of your civil servant duties?
Yes, sir. Certainly, that would help me perform better as a civil servant, because it taught me that my problems or my life does not exist in a vacuum. There are so many people who are deprived or are feeling marginalized in so many ways, and if one could take the extra effort to make a difference in their lives, that would be the greatest thing.
Apurva, what does the word Apurva stand for? What does it mean?
Sir, Apurva in Sanskrit means unprecedented or something that has not happened before. So, but its mention also comes in early Indian philosophy, as it is the state before imparting of the religious knowledge in the form of your Vedic texts or Vedic verses before being recited, and after those verses are recited, the person experiences a purva feeling that they have not been able to see the world this way before, and that is how it leads to a meaningful sacrifice or ritual.
Your date of birth is 5th May.
Yes, sir.
5/5.
Yes, sir.
Your date of birth is not 9/9.
No.
Then why is Sudoku a hot favorite for you?
So Sudoku is a habit I developed during COVID-19 pandemic, when we were all locked down in our homes. I downloaded the Sudoku app. Some senior of mine suggested that it is very good for improving logic and it would help you in your CSAT as well. So I downloaded the app and I started playing. Initially, I was not having a clue. I had only known about Sudoku since the newspapers that were published, but then I developed a knack for it and began solving Sudokus as fast as within 10 minutes.
Okay, so you're talking about solvent Sudoku. Tell me 3 techniques that you use for solving Sudoku.
So one technique is the subgrid method, where within a subgrid all 9 numbers should be mentioned. So let's say if 2 numbers are absent, 6 or 7, and they are placed in a way that they can be put. If there is no 7 in the same line, or there's no
No,
6.
that's not a technique. That
Yes,
is
sir.
the procedure.
Yes, sir.
Tell me some techniques. Tell me 3 techniques that are used for solving the Sudoku puzzle.
Permutation and logic, I am aware of.
Yeah, but these permutations and combinations, they have certain techniques, certain logic to it.
Sorry,
Have you
sir.
heard of the pair system? The pairs, the X wing, the XY wing, the cross sword,
Sir, I have heard about them, but I
the
haven't
swordfish.
Yes, sir, I have heard about them, but I haven't reached that level
Okay,
in Sudoku, sir.
okay. You're also fond of swimming,
Yes, sir.
leisure and fitness both. Have you participated in any swimming activities,
Sir, I do swim in
competitions?
no, sir, not competitions. Only in personal capacity, sir.
Do you follow swimming also?
So slightly, but not that.
Can you tell me uh, the swimmer who's won the maximum number of gold medals in Olympics?
Sir, I have heard of Michael Phelps from the United States who has won maximum number of gold medals, sir.
Any records that he has?
Sir, I am unaware about this.
Any idea about how many number of gold medals he won in one Olympics?
I think it was 8 medals in one of the Olympics, 2008 Olympics, Beijing.
Okay. Tell me three styles of swimming if you know.
So breaststroke, backstroke, and butterfly.
Okay, these are very simple ones. Tell me two more then.
So one is freestyle, and sorry, sir. I think there are 4 standard.
Have you ever heard of a side stroke?
Yes, sir, I have. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay. We were talking about the 5th of May. Tell me what is so special about 5th of May?
So 5th May is a very important day in history. If I'm allowed to put history in my discussion. So it is the firstly in the present times, if I'm allowed to say, it's the birth date of pop star Adele. So it's also the birth date of Karl Marx. So it's the death date of Napoleon, the French emperor, as well as the third Sikh Guru, Guru Arjan Dev.
What is the relationship between Arjan Dev and Patna?
I will read about it, sir.
So why did I ask you that question?
So because I am born in Patna.
Okay. Okay. Did you watch the Republic Day parade yesterday or the day before?
No, sir, I was not able to because we had a power cut during that time.
Okay. Have you read the papers about? Have you read about the Republic Day parade this time?
Sir, briefly, I have read about the parade.
Can you tell me 5 things that have never happened before that have happened in this Republic Day?
Sir, if I'm allowed to say, we had the first female-driven camel contingent by BSF. Sir, Sir, Egypt being invited as the chief guest. Sir, our
Egypt being invited as a chief guest means?
Egyptian president was invited.
Was this the first time?
Sir, I am unaware about this. I will read up.
This wasn't the first, okay. Tell me something which is first I said.
Sir, our 21 gun salute was replaced by a new gun of 120 millimeter, I think.
Under 10 millimeters.
Oh, yes, sorry, sir, I stand corrected.
Okay.
Sir, sorry, I am unaware of.
Which aircraft took part in the fly past this time?
Sorry, sir, I.
Any special aircraft?
Sorry, sir, I am unaware of.
Rafale?
Sir, but I am not aware of this, so I won't be able to comment. Sorry, sir.
Any link between the Republic Day parade this time and the Make in India policy that we have adopted?
Sir, a lot of table use were reflecting the indigenous defense indigenization and what steps have been taken by Make in India initiative. So that was also one of the focus.
Is it only the tableaus or anything else? Okay. Okay. One last question then. Tell me, this is your second attempt.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is your vision as a civil services officer?
So I intend to make a difference in the lives of people. So my father always used to tell me that you do not need to do the biggest of things or the grandest of things, but if you're able to make the life better for one person or one family by uh, maybe through your own authoritative capacity, sorry sir, through your own sanctioned authority and in the form of signature, anything that a person might get pension that was stuck, and if that person's life gets better, so that is the greatest thing that you can do for yourself as well as for the society and leave some impact in the society, sir.
Was that a mission or a vision, or was that a essay on what I plan to do?
No, sir, that is the
One sentence vision, please.
so, to make a difference in the lives of people.
Thank you very much, Apurva.
Thank you, sir.
Apurva,
Yes, sir.
what I could see from your DAP that you were born in Patna, that is Bihar.
Yes, sir.
So Bihar has got a GI tag for one of its products. Could you name that product?
Sir, maybe Madhubani, sorry, sir. Sorry, sir, I'm unaware.
There are other 4 products which has got the GI tag.
Sir, I will read about this.
Can you name 3 or 4 programs which talks about financial inclusion? Leave the Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana. Apart from that, I need at least 3 programs which has been launched by the government for financial inclusion.
So for financial services to take place on the digital medium, a lot of digitalization schemes have been passed by,
No. I need the name of that program. Just
So-
give me 3 names.
Yes, sir. So PM Vani scheme for internet connectivity across India to many regions. So sorry, sir, I'm unable to recall at the moment.
What is windfall tax?
So windfall tax is a tax imposed on sudden increase in income or through the form of lottery or when income increases suddenly, so that aspect is taxed because uh, that is not earned in the normal way of things, sir.
Okay. In the historical context, can you name 3 events that has strengthened and enriched the nationalist movement?
The first event I would like to mention would be the revolt of 1857, sir. So that was one of those moments where people realized that we are really frustrated with our colonial masters. So they came together in their limited capacity. Of course, there were certain challenges in social unity, but they did come together. So second, the idea of Swadeshi from Swadeshi movement, that was also a major change where one realizes the importance of being Atmanirbhar and having own systems of production and education to counter the colonial masters. So, non-cooperation, sir, also I would feel that it was one of the ways that we do not cooperate with the British Raj, and we refuse to, sir. And that idea of satyagraha that was brought by Sir Mahatma Gandhi, that is, I feel, that major.
Please mention 3 events that have made the process of transfer of power a bit complicated.
So, as far as transfer of power is concerned, one event that I can think of at the moment is partition. So, that because of the communal riots and the direct action day that resulted in mass killings of people across communities, that made transfer of power very difficult, sir. So secondly was the problem of integration of princely states. Many states such as the Nizam of Hyderabad, Bhopal's own Nawab, they refused to join first-hand India in the first go, and they had to be diplomatically convinced. So, and the third problem I feel in the transfer of power was the large amount of poverty that had come to be because of 200 years of colonial subjugation. So government found it very difficult to initially to allocate resources and decide what is best for what sector. So because we had to fulfill the dreams that had been envisioned by freedom fighters and then also ensure that social problems are solved. So.
Okay. Mm. What are the takeaways of the Quad Summit, which was held in 2022? Key takeaways. Just mention two.
Yes, sir. So, one takeaway would be communication and information exchange that both the countries, both the countries, US, India, Australia, and Japan, they came to have communication and exchange, sir. Secondly, I would say that they are also realizing, all the countries are realizing the increasing importance of Indian Ocean region as a region that would be, whose regional security would matter in the next 10 or 20 years, sir, because of increasing presence of China across Indian Ocean in the form of debt trap diplomacy, building of ports through China-Pakistan economic corridor, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Just to pick up the threads from where we have left, we talked about the decade of 2000 to 2010 as female-centric, heavy Indian drama, the Saas Bahu syndrome.
Yes, sir.
What is the era from 2011 to 2020 now? 21 to 23.
So, about 2011 to 20, sir, I would say it was a hybrid phenomenon that could be seen. We had the Saas Bahu serials as well, but a number of different kind of content was also coming about, especially mythological remakes. For example, the Mahabharat was remade again in 2012 or 13, I believe. Then the Ramayana, a number of historical dramas were made, sir, and then a number of issues involving urban Indian society. So I am unable to recall some dramas. If in the course of the conversation I am able to recall, then I would certainly say. But about 2021 to 23, sir, we can see the rise of OTT platforms and a number of dramas and web series based on the issues that the youth enjoys. So, for example, Scam 1992 or Mirzapur. So that is what I am able to recall at the moment.
You have a very good command over history, and you look at everything from the historical lens, as one of the honorable members remarked. There are three terms: development commissioner, district collector, district magistrate. All these terms have colonial hangover.
Yes, sir.
What name would you suggest, if given a chance, to change the name to shake off this colonial legacy?
So I certainly agree with you that there's a colonial hangover in the terminology that has existed. If I were to replace it, then we could take some of the terminologies of district officials from the Maurya or the Gupta Empire. We had a number of adhyaksh. So, for example, the land revenue was managed by the
Tell me one name.
Sita Adhyaksh for land revenue, sir.
So, the role of a DM now is to look after health, education, all this.
Yes, sir.
You are telling from the land revenue. Tell me a composite name. What would you suggest to the government if given a chance?
Sir, Zilla Adhyaksh.
Zilla Adhyaksh. If we have an elected DM in place of a selected DM, what would be the consequences?
Sir, an elected DM may or may not be as meritorious as is through the rigorous process of examination that is conducted by recruitment agencies like the UPSC. Sir, it would be more based on popularity, majoritarianism. Then, sir, social biases may also come into play. For example, a particular community-dominant region would prefer an administrator of their community. So, sir, that would distort the principles of distributive justice and equality that our constitution makers had envisioned for our country, sir.
Our Prime Minister is not coming through any examination. Is he not competent? Our Chief Minister is also not coming through any competitive examinations by UPSC or other state public service. Are they not competent?
So they are competent in terms of the experience and the mass support that they have that has led them to be elected, sir. So, but for certain services, there are certain nuances and education and thorough study of the systems that have come to be that I would, sir, say that administrators do need, sir, apart from the experience.
We have talked about the three values: grounded, adaptable, all these things. Tell me the three ethical values in your life from ethical viewpoint.
So I would like to clarify whether I have those ethical values or I would desire, sir.
From that ethical value.
Okay, sir. Sir, I consider myself to be a person of integrity. So because
No, tell the terms only, don't
Okay.
elaborate. Tell the
Um,
terms.
yes, sir. Person
Integrity.
of integrity.
Yes.
Sir,
Second. Second,
sir, I believe in introspection.
introspection is a value.
Okay, sir.
Tell me
So,
the values.
sir, I consider myself an accountable person, and I also want to keep others also accountable for what has been sanctioned or given or allotted to them. Thirdly, sir, I would consider myself a fair and open person, sir, because I do not believe in hiding or restricting information if it is not that necessary, sir.
A cat has three children named January, February, and March. What is the name of the cat?
Sir, cat. Sir, the cat's name is Cat.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Apurva,
Yes,
one
sir.
final question. After
Yes,
that,
sir.
we will end this interaction.
Yes.
Highlight one real weakness that you have and what are you doing to overcome it? And please do not highlight binge watching.
Okay, so, sir, one of the weaknesses that I am facing is my poor sleep schedule, sir. I intend to wake up early, but because of the winter also, I am sleeping really late and waking up really late. So, sir, I intend to fix that. And another weakness, sir, would be to enforce certain boundaries because I'm unable to say no to anybody who comes to me for help, sir. So if it is at 2 at night also, so I would prefer helping them than going to sleep, sir. But that costs me my productivity and makes me a little irritable the next day, sir.
Thank you, Apurva.
Thank
Your
you,
interview
sir.
is over. We will reconnect with you in some time for a feedback. Stay connected.
Thank you, sir.
Please be seated. Apurva, first let us understand here why UPSC holds this exercise. See, aspirants call it interview, but it is in no way exchange of views.
Yes, sir.
It is actually a test of your personality. Every question that is thrown at you is thrown with the intention to uncover one or more dimensions of your personality. Check what kind of a person you are, what are your values, are you a good problem solver, can you take decisions under stress, do you suffer from any kind of prejudice, biases, stereotypical thought, etc. What is your approach in life? Do you have a broad outlook? Do you have an inclusive mindset? Once trained, will you further the case of social justice or you will become a roadblock in the path of delivery of social justice? Do you understand that? So every question that is thrown with this intention to check that whether this person will become an asset or a liability for the administration. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So if we understand the motive behind holding this personality test, we will prepare in that frame of mind. Do you understand that? There are so many good things that I can speak about you, but I will focus more on those areas where I feel you need improvement. But quickly covering the good part, you are very well spoken.
Thank you.
Your arguments are balanced, you can frame your sentences very well, your communication skill is very good, you were very polite, you were very decent, and you maintained the courtesy and etiquettes of formal interaction. Some of your answers were wonderful, especially those which revolved around history. But anyhow, that is anyhow a strength. But let me now focus on those areas where I feel, Apurva, you need a bit of improvement, if not a lot of improvement, but I'll definitely say a bit of improvement.
Yes.
Start from the very beginning, dear. As you entered the room, yes, you maintained a smile on your face. Present yourself from head to toe and then enter the room. Do not just bend over, check and say, sir, may I come in? That looks very sluggish. That doesn't look very appropriate.
Okay,
Right?
sir.
The appropriate way is, on that day, a CISF Jawan would assist you in opening the door. If not, knock the door. Wait for a sound from inside. Once you get that sound, open the door, stand at the door, facing the board. Don't see elsewhere, at the board. And then with a smile on your face, confidently ask, may I come in, sir? You understand that? Once you come in, the right way is to come and stand by the side of the chair. That side of the chair which is nearest to the door. Never stand behind the chair or in front of the chair, because you don't know whether the chair can move or not.
Yes, sir.
Do you get that? And then how you wished, do you recall? Good morning, sir. Or good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. For heaven's sake, we are here 4 people. If we were 400, then how much time would you have spent to just wish people?
Yes, sir. The whole day.
तो नमस्ते हाय में ही निकल जाएगा पूरा टाइम.
Yes, sir.
समझ रहे हो? The right way, Apurva, is to say good afternoon, sirs, or whatever the time of the day is. Good morning, good afternoon, sirs.
Okay,
Do
sir.
you understand that? Plural. If there are female members in the board, suppose there are 2 female members, 3 male members, so say good afternoon, madams, and then good afternoon, sirs. Do not use the word ma'am. Madam would be more appropriate, right?
Yes.
Then do not occupy your seat unless you're asked to take that seat. This shows that you can wait for taking orders.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that? Remember, it's a test of your personality, not a test of your knowledge. Once you take the seat, take some time in making yourself comfortable. Even now, you see, look at the distance between your right hand and the right armrest and the left hand and the left armrest.
Yes, sir.
You're sitting on one side of the chair like this. This shows as if this is a very casual thing for you. Do you get that, dear? So sit at the center and take time. If possible, I can understand. And the height of the chair may be slightly uncomfortable for you, but if possible, ensure that you reach to the back of the seat so that you remain attentive, or you remain in an attentive position. Otherwise, after some time, you start leaning over on either of the sides. So that creates a very bad impression. One major thing which you need to improve, that is the length of your answers. If I say they were terribly long, that would be an understatement.
Sir, I will work on
Even at the last case when I said just highlight one weakness, you highlighted 2 and explained them as well. When sir said highlight 3 schemes for financial inclusion, you named the scheme and explained that as well. You are still into the mains mold, dear. You feel that an excellent answer will fetch you more marks. That's not the criteria here. Think a crisis-like situation. Suppose the chief secretary has called you. There is a communal right which has, it means it's a communal right kind of situation on the roads. And your chief secretary has called you. What is happening? Is there any problem with the people? And if you start answering like, sir, people are facing several problems. One of them is communal riots. Do you think he will be interested in talking to you? He'll keep the phone and say, or he will say, कि मैडम एक काम करिए अपने PA को please दे दीजिए. आप तो बहुत लंबा बोलती हैं.
I understand, sir. I will work on it.
So what you have to do is, dear, be very precise, short. And if you feel that I can explain and gain here more marks, so you say 3 schemes and then you say, sir, with your kind permission, if you allow, I can highlight why I have chosen these 3. Obviously,
Okay, sir.
have faith, they also know the things.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Definitely, sir.
Do not be a teacher all the time. ठीक है? And see, I am very sure that you love history. But do not create this impression, dear. Otherwise, what happens, Apurva, कि ऐसा लगता है आप यूनिडायमेंशनल हो. और आज के 21st सेंचुरी में हमको ऐसे ऑफिसर्स चाहिए जो कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव माइंडसेट रखते हो. आप हिस्ट्री 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 इतना किए जा रहे हो, ऐसा लग रहा है मैं कोई क्लास में बैठा हुआ हूँ और वहाँ पे हिस्ट्री की क्लास चल रही है, कोई मेरे मास्टर्स का प्रोग्राम है, ऐसा लग रहा है मेरा रिसर्च चल रहा है मेरा.
Sorry, sir, I will work on
So try to do that, dear. Try to reduce that thing. Listen to the question carefully. Sometimes you were not listening to the question carefully. You explained very well your service preference, cadre preference. You explained that very well. I loved it. And current affairs भी आपका ठीक ठाक है. In and all, Apurva, I feel that, but do not get complacent by this.
No, sir.
You
certainly.
are making it.
Thank
You
you, sir.
are making it. This is your second attempt, dear.
Yes, sir.
In all probability, this can be your last.
Thank you.
And when I say last, you understand that you're not only getting selected, but you're ending up with high rank, so that you do not have to reappear for rank improvement. This is what I feel. Sir, we'll add few points to this. Then you can ask me your questions, and then I'll declare your score. Okay, dear?
Okay, sir.
Apurva,
Yes, sir.
is this the dress you plan to wear for the interview day?
No, sir, I intend to wear a sari, beige colored one with black borders.
I would have preferred if you had worn the same sari today or maybe a similar sari today, because it gives you a feel of how you're going to be reacting on that particular day also.
Yes, sir.
Republic Day parade ka hota hai na rehearsal.
Yes, sir.
You have that dress rehearsal.
Yes, sir, I understand.
That's why it's called a dress rehearsal. You dress for the occasion. So, because this gives an impression that you're taking this whole exercise very casually. And to be very frank with you, you definitely did give a semblance of casualness
Sorry.
when you entered, the way you sat, the way you spoke. Quite a bit of it. There was a lot of casualness in that. And believe me, this is a formal affair, right? Casualness is not expected here, right? We're not talking between friends. This is a make or break situation. It's a very big, result that you're opting for, you're waiting for. So you have to maintain that sanctity of the occasion. Don't be very casual about it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir, I will work on it, sir.
Sitting on one side, I will also say you were sitting on the edge of the seat. Aage ki taraf. Don't sit that way. That shows that you are a little unnerved. You want to run away from here. जितना जल्दी बस मौका खत्म हो और मैं भाग जाऊँ यहाँ से. That impression is generated.
Okay, sir.
Sit, comfort. The chair has been given to you for sitting. Okay? Relax and sit down properly and enjoy the occasion. Right? And if you're not sitting comfortably, you really will not enjoy. You will feel uncomfortable all the while. Right? So remember that. Very long answers means very, very long answers.
Sir, I will work on it.
That has to be worked upon. I have written that point twice. That means it is not long, it is very, very, very long. So that requires to be touched upon, right? One thing which I felt was appropriate was your eye contact. But one thing which was missing in the eye contact was you were looking down and looking around while answering the question. If you're answering the question, you are aware there are two parts of the question, two parts of the eye contact. One is while answering and one is while listening to the question. While you're listening, you have to pay attention to the person who's speaking. But while you're answering, where should your attention be?
So, as the person who's asking.
Primarily, but you can't ignore the other people also, right? So it has to be all over. Majorly to the person who's asked the question, but say 75-25. 75 with the person who's asked, 25 with the rest. But during those 25, during that 75%, you can't be looking down and looking around. Remember that, please. Then, on I think a couple of instances, you went in that thinking mold. Obviously, it's expected. You have to. But doing so without taking permission is not appropriate. Take permission. Can I take a few seconds to think think about it and reply? take a few seconds, take permission, and then speak. Don't just go into the thinking mood straight away by looking down or looking around and without taking permission. That is not called for, right? Then when I said casualness, I remember in one instance you said some question was asked to you and you said, sir, I do not remember it, but if I recall, I will tell you so or something during the course of this talk.
Conversation.
I mean, that is a very, very casual statement. So avoid saying that. What has gone has gone. Jo ho gaya. That should not be touched upon, right? So leave it at that. So whatever has finished, you have finished your talk there. Khatam ho gaya. If there were questions, the question would have come to you, you would have answered that question. So wahan pe don't make statements like this, but when you are in a matter of doubt, seek clarification. I think in one instance you did that, but it is required. Seek clarification, and there is no harm in seeking clarification rather than going on a tangent and giving a wrong answer and then being brought back. Okay, this is not what I have asked you, this is what I want to know. So it will break your concentration and your thinking thought process, right? So overall, believe me, a very good performance, but you are definitely worth much more than probably what marks you will get today. Right? Small points, but very, very meaningful points which will make a big difference.
Okay, sir.
Right?
I will work on it.
All the best, Apurva.
Thank you, sir.
Apurva, also on one of the instances, you said, I think during the part of the interview when sir was asking a few questions, you said, sir, as you know. Never say that.
Okay, sir.
You've said, I feel, I think, avoid these words, say, I believe, in my limited knowledge.
So
Right?
formal terminology.
Formal terms. Use that. Just cut the length of your answers
Yes.
and maintain a smile. You have a very good smile there. Try to maintain that. And आपने इतना academic बना दिया पूरे एक्सरसाइज को. ऐसा लग रहा था कोई रिसर्च पेपर प्रेजेंटेशन हो रहा है. ये स्कॉलर वो ये मेंस का पेपर नहीं है, हो गया, आपने अच्छा किया है, तभी मिला है इंटरव्यू में कॉल. ठीक है?
Sir, I will keep that in mind.
Yes. Only two things that I would suggest. First, length of the answers, short. And second, listen to the question properly. You were not listening to the question properly. If you listen to the question properly, and even if you do not understand, ask for clarification. 2-3 बार पूछो, उसके बाद भी अगर बोलो, sir, I am not aware, I'll definitely go back and read about it. फिर भी अच्छा है. इसका मतलब the person does not reply without understanding and also has a learning attitude. तो दो चीजें समझ में आती है. आपने सुना भी नहीं ठीक से और लंबा सा एक आंसर दिया, मतलब लेक्चर भी देते हैं और सुनते भी नहीं
I
है.
apologize.
So a civil servant should be a good listener. How can you solve problem when you do not understand the problem? And for that, the first ability that you have to develop is you have to be a good listener. How can you engage with multiple stakeholders? That's why I asked you that question. That how you have engaged yourself with multiple stakeholders. See, knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. So develop that habit also, dear. Any specific question, dear, that you would like to ask?
So, any tips on how to reduce the verbosity of the answers, sir?
See, like suppose I'm asking you a question. Apurva, what is your favorite movie, Korean movie or drama of all time? What should be the answer?
Sir, Goblin.
How did you answer that in one word? I was expecting you would say that there are many Korean dramas. Do you understand that? Do not build the background. Just try to address the meat of the answer immediately. Masala piche.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Why I am saying so? Because in personality test, you will not get the opportunity to finish the entire thing.
Okay, sir.
So your best point has to be your first point. Mains mein just ulta hai. Your best point has to be in the conclusion. But personality test mein, your best point has to be the first point. So that there could be an interjection, a counter question, a supplementary question, an altogether different kind of argument. तो आपको मौका ही नहीं मिलेगा खत्म करने का और आपको फिर वो एक एंजाइटी होने लगेगी कि मेरा बेस्ट पॉइंट तो आया ही नहीं, मैंने तो क्वेश्चन एड्रेस किया ही नहीं. उन्होंने पूछा था व्हाट इज योर फेवरेट कोरियन ड्रामा और मैंने शुरू किया था देयर आर मेनी कोरियन ड्रामा. उन्होंने कहा व्हाट इज योर फेवरेट फूड, देयर आर सो मेनी क्यूजीन्स दैट आई हैव कम अक्रॉस. बोलेंगे हु इज योर फेवरेट क्रिकेटर, आप बोलोगे देयर आर सेवरल स्पोर्ट्स. तो क्या बातें हो रही है ये, समझ में आ रहा है? आप बस बोलते जाओ ना जो भी आपको पसंद है. ठीक है, एनीथिंग एल्स डियर?
No, sir.
When you're asked 3 steps, just name 3 steps and finish. 3 points, just 3 points and finish. No explanations unless called for. Or if you are very interested to say so, after you finish those 3 points, you can say, sir, if you wish, I would like to elaborate.
Okay.
Otherwise, don't do it. As simple as that.
During the course of the interview, there would be certain situations where you will get full toss. And those balls should be hit out of the stadium.
Okay.
But what you did, you left them.
Yes, sir. I understand.
I'll tell you one instance. When I said, highlight a quote,
Yes, sir.
frame one, I said. And आपको ऐसा लगा कि मेरा कोट वैसा ही होना चाहिए जैसे गांधी जी बोल कर गए हैं, वैसे रिदमिक होना चाहिए. There is enough for everyone's need, but not enough for anyone's greed. इस टाइप का आप कोट कुछ बनाना चाह रहे थे. Make any quote. It's not necessary that it should rhyme. But then you gathered your senses. You said, sir, there are 2 words. But उसमें भी आप 2 नहीं 4 words बोले आप.
Understood,
ठीक है,
sir.
23 बोल के. But Apurva, believe me, dear. As I said, I'm reiterating it. You have excellent chance. 2 reason है. आपका डेफ बहुत strong है. ठीक है, आपके कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स बहुत अच्छे हैं और आज के मॉडर्न एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कम्युनिकेशन पे चलता है क्योंकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा काम तो टेक्नोलॉजी कर देती है. तो कम्युनिकेशन ही बस चाहिए. ठीक है, ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट ना हो जिससे कि और प्रॉपर सिस्टम्स चलते हैं. और दूसरा ये दैट यू आर अ फीमेल कैंडिडेट. UPSC encourages participation of women in administration. Look at the ratio of administrators to people, that to female administrators to people. So there are so many problems of the vulnerable sections which they feel more comfortable in sharing to female officers, especially related to adolescents and women, child care, health care, so many things. You're mature enough to understand what I'm pointing towards. So there is a possibility that you young भी हो, फीमेल कैंडिडेट भी हो और डैफ भी बहुत स्ट्रांग है, कम्युनिकेशन भी अच्छा है और बायस्ड भी नहीं लगते हो, ऑनेस्ट भी लगते हो, पोलाइट भी हो, डिसेंट भी हो, बट लेक्चर देने का बड़ा शौक है आपको.
Sir, I will definitely work on this. Sir, it was my first mock interview. sir.
Never mind, dear. Why are we here? What sir said? Why are we here? To help you to get
Yes.
into the final list. ठीक है, और कुछ पूछना चाह रहे हो?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
So as far as yes,
Let me just add one more point, Apurva. Knowledge of the DAF. This is information which you have given, right?
Yes, sir.
All that is written in this is all given by you.
Yes.
Everything, including your date of birth, your name का meaning, which you talked about, your address, लाल घाटी, तो लाल घाटी का नाम कैसे पड़ा है, LBS नगर क्या है, मतलब any question can be asked from here. So आप when you talked in terms of Sudoku के techniques क्या है, Sudoku के what is the rule 45 of Sudoku, मतलब all these things. Swimming आपने लिखा है, swimming के बारे में whatever information that you have given, हर चीज के बारे में you have to have complete knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Because the moment they ask you something and you're not aware about it, you will feel a little dejected कि यार इस तो मुझे पता नहीं है. So mug up your DAF completely. जैसे कहते हैं ना घोट के पी जाओ उसको.
Yes, sir.
That is what is required. And believe me, it will make a difference. World of difference.
so Apurva, as far as today's performance was concerned, it's not a judgment of your potential, but an evaluation of today's performance. We have awarded you 180, but you are a 200 plus candidate,
Thank you, sir.
right? Even with these marks, you are in. But अगर आपको कोई एक सिंगल डिजिट में रैंक चाहिए, तो आपको इससे ऊपर जाना पड़ेगा.
Certainly, sir. I will work on the feedback that I have received today, sir.
All the best, dear.
Thank you, sir.
करंट अफेयर्स का नॉलेज थोड़ा सा होना चाहिए. रिपब्लिक परेड के बारे में आपको ज्यादा नहीं पता था, तो
2 दिन ही हुए हैं.
2 दिन भी नहीं हुए अभी. ठीक है,
थोड़ा भोपाल भी तैयार करना, उससे ज्यादा क्वेश्चन हुए नहीं. ठीक है.
ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट.
Thank you, sir.